Beautiful blessings, everyone. Today, I've been drawn to do the Spirit of the Animal Oracle. There's a very earthy resonance, but it's very, very dense. And they also have me working with my shungite and my black tourmaline crystals, which is not usually a crystals that I ever work with or wear, but they're telling me today, even my shirt, it's not normally something that I would wear, but it feels like that energy of grounding and protecting, and not necessarily the way they're showing it to me. I know people believe that there are evil spirits and evil star seeds out there that come to torment us, and I understand that. I respect everybody's experience here. Whatever experience you're having is real for you, and so that's honored in my space. I always honor that. For me, though, I don't experience those things in that way, but I do know when I'm dealing with my own energy levels and I start to feel like I'm maybe being a little negative, or I'm not seeing things from the higher perspective, they usually ask me to work with the tourmaline and the shungite. So that's something that I'm doing today. And so I would like to ask Source to allow me to bring a message today through to hold the light with deep gratitude, to share and lift others. And I ask all the animals and creatures to please step forward and bring through a message that I may share for our highest good. I honor you. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to shuffle. These are larger cards. I love the artwork on them, though. They have a beautiful energy. It's very foggy where I am today, which is interesting because before the reading, I was sitting quietly and listening, and some of the guides were explaining that sometimes the energy is very intense because the moisture is in the air, which we all know is a physical conduit. And along with them encouraging to drink lots of water for all of us and our grounding, to understand that because we have so much water in our bodies, that's mostly what we're made up of, that when the water is thick in the air like that, like during fog and rain, those days the energy is very, very strong because it's being charged. It's the water of life, and it's all around us, and it is foggy. So it not only is it symbolic of making sure a reminder to see the higher perspective and understand that though we may not see certain things in our visual field, that we know that they're there. And that's symbolic spiritually as well. That's a correspondence to focus on the third eye and the heart, the solar plexus. And so basically they're already coming through and explaining that it is a very powerful conduit, but it also can supercharge what's in us. So we have to make sure that we're in a very grounded space. Open the heart chakra, open the solar plexus, clear the third eye, run our energy. Just sit with that and breathe and run the energy. Just wash it through, because when there's a fog like this or a misty rain, it can supercharge already anything that's in us. And if we're in a kind of a heavy, dense energy, maybe we're a little anxious, or we're having a little depression, maybe a little frustration, it amplifies what's around us in our light body. So we can use that same mist, same water energy, the waters of life that are around us in the air, to cleanse as well. And so we can just shift that with intention. So, okay, I'm done shuffling. I'm just going to take one from the spirit animals. It's been very intense with all the birds of prey recently. And so that I would not be surprised. Okay, it's not really coming out today, so they may want me to do a, where I usually, whoop, okay. Excuse me as I get that. Snow Leopard. This is a beautiful, beautiful card. Absolutely wonderful artwork. Snow Leopard, self-reliance. You are strong, independent, and often solitary. Integrity is important for your best outcome. Cloak yourself with invisibility and walk with the shamans. Use your intuition and let your life unfold in silent perfection. And something right away, I am going to read from the book because I love the meanings that come with these oracle cards. So I'm not going to interfere. They're not going to impress anything other than they're bringing me the attention to the smaller snow leopard and the larger snow leopard. And what they're saying is that with this energy is a strong, strong pull for us to work with our lower self and our higher self. So today with the snow leopard energy is also integrating that communication, that the guides will always, for the most direct and clear communication, they will address our higher self. There's a lot of times that when we're getting downloads and things like that, it feels like it comes into our lower self-awareness. But what they're explaining is that with the shifts in energy and things, and everybody's talking about moving into the 5D, which is an interesting concept. I'm not going to get into that right now. They're not wanting to explain that one, but they are saying to work with the snow leopard energy, that this is clear. This is the higher self. It's the stronger of that more vast energy. It's most of our whole being is still in the unseen world. And so this is where a lot of the communication happens. And then when we're ready, our lower self is ready, it just kind of downloads gently. It's almost like a knowing, rather than some of the downloads we get when we're getting light codes, or we're working with dream work or things like that. When you're meditating, sometimes it goes directly into the lower self, and then we have to kind of balance that and filter through it and understand what the messages are. When it goes through the higher self and all of these energies, whether it's guides, masters, angels, loved ones, light beings, our star family communicating with us, they will work with our higher self in those realms, and then it gently comes through, and it's almost like the intuition, with the knowing. And so they're explaining that sometimes this is how it works. Okay, snow leopard. Here we are. Okay. Snow leopard is lord of the silent power. They live in the harsh climates of the Himalayas, where they cloak themselves in invisibility. Their inner knowing is enhanced by observation. If snow leopard is your ally, intuition is your gift. The more you use it, the more accurate, successful, and responsive it becomes. If you are a snow leopard person, this totem asks you to learn self-reliance. A clear path will open for snow leopard people if they watch for clues and signs from within. Feelings of tensions arise when they are not aligned with their intuition. Those with snow leopard as their totem need solitude. You require time alone. And if you begin to feel stifled, you must honor this need within before you start to move forward. Snow leopard people do their best thinking, creating, and problem solving by themselves. They are master survivors, and all leopards are linked with shamans, psychics, and intuitives. Snow leopards are regal, graceful, and daunting. They walk easily between the worlds, and if this is your totem, so will you. And so I think this is why they were first bringing through the message of our higher self and our lower self, because what they're saying is that sometimes the clarity and the information is not always from an outside source. Even on the higher realms, they're not always feeding us downloads, and they're not always giving us information. This is the wisdom that we carry through many lifetimes in all different places and from source. And so they're encouraging us to sit and connect with higher self, the bigger leopard that's in the picture. And this is the lower self. And allow the knowing, open up to that, because we have a plethora of wisdom inside of us. I understand that there is an Akashic records that we visit, and the Hall of Records, and things like that. We can have past life regression. But a lot of these things are already within our higher self. We are a plethora of remembering, and it's just waking up to that. So the solitude and sitting with that and just allowing, instead of today asking guidance always from our guides and masters and so forth, to access that from our higher self, from within, and trust it. You'll be surprised what is already there available to us. We didn't do all this work. We didn't have all this remembering and all these lifetimes and all these different experiences in different dimensions to not be able to access that. It's part of our existence. And so the contrary, I love this part of the Oracle deck, because these are questions that we can sometimes ask ourselves when these certain totems appear in our awareness. Are you experiencing emotional turmoil from a lack of solitude? So the snow leopard, it can also be these things that it brings forth in us to ask. And when a snow leopard appears, sometimes it's not always just that it's bringing its totem message, but it's asking us these questions to ask ourselves, and we can then ask our higher selves. Have you become unbalanced from the busyness and noise of daily life? And it doesn't mean that you have to have a high-end job. You don't have to be working on Wall Street or be a jet pilot. You could just have a busy life in your family life. Or maybe you have a lot of things that you're doing around the house, or you're a caretaker and there's not a lot of that time. They're asking to check in with yourself. Are you following your intuition? Again, the reminder, sit, access your own higher wisdom. Keep that flowing, because at the end of the day, that's what we come here for, experience. There's certain things that we keep within us that's imprinted in us from lifetimes, our archetypes, our soul blueprints. Those are all there, and they're guiding us. And make time for yourself. And that's so important when we want to connect with these totems, because it's a beautiful gift that they come into our awareness, whether it's we're seeing repeated images of them on the internet, or you've gone somewhere and you notice it, or people keep mentioning that they're seeing these things, and it just kind of sits with you. If that's the case, we have to make time to ask ourselves, what is this teaching us? What was I doing in that moment that may relate to that? Because sometimes the totem will come in and maybe we're not completely feeling like the message is something that the totem is bringing, but it's also asking us to go within and ask ourselves these questions. Maybe you were noticing this and you were in the middle of, again, taking on a lot of physical chores around the house, and you're getting overwhelmed and you're actually physically tired, and then all of a sudden you start noticing the snow leopard, and it's simply asking us to stop, be still, and ask ourselves, what is most important at this point? Why am I so drawn to wear myself down like this? What am I accomplishing? And so that's a really good, I'm grateful for this one today, because I think that's something that most of us relate to. It's not something that's otherworldly profound, but something that in our daily life is always good to check in like that. So I hope that you found this somehow inspiring, and share that energy today. It's a very interesting energy. I can't say that, I don't have my moments where I'm kind of getting just sit and listen to what's going on within. So much love, many blessings to everyone. Wishing you a beautiful day.